Hello, this is Kyle with week 3 of my progress on the Doom Horizon level I'm working on. I got a lot done this week. I placed all the rest of the computer consoles, the doors, the key cards, so the entire map is functional from start to finish. Um, Also started working on, the powering on sequence where the ship is going to turn from off to on, where you open up the portal, unleash demons. I started that power on sequence as well as worked on the bridge explosion sequence, which is a big part of the map. So I spent a lot of time working on that this week, which was sort of a stretch goal, but I was able to spend some time and make it have the at least beginning of the sequence work to make sure that it's all functioning and then add in the details later and a little more skyboxing. Moving on. Um, I'll just go through sort of the level and how it works start to finish in the editor, and I'll point out what I worked on this week, and then I will include in a separate video just a full playthrough start to finish so you can see how the level's working for right now. But yeah, the whole level's functional with all the key cards and all the objects you need, as well as some objectives appearing, which I worked on, the point of interest settings this week for all the different objects you'd come across. But yeah, as the player begins here, they come through here, and yep, this door closes permanently. Not too much changed in this room this week. You go through this airlock sequence. Moving on to the ship. We added 5 oxygen tanks here where the player can fill in with these oxygen canisters that they find throughout the ship. That will come into play in the end sequence, but it's just kind of a scavenger hunt for the player to begin. So we'll come back to these in a little bit. As the player would approach here, half of the ship is going to be locked off. This front area, I decided to add a door here that has a green key card, which you'll obtain later. So you can explore this area, and here you'll find a red key card. So that red key card will open up a door in this back area of the ship. This bridge sequence I worked on a lot this week. We added these explosive barrels and then timed out some explosions. That comes later in the level, so we'll explain more of that later. For now, the player would move on to this area where they can explore a bit. There's a wing section and a wing section. This door will be locked with a gray key card. Once they have the red key card, they can come this way into this back section of the ship where we need to turn on the power. First, the console to use to turn on the power is blocked by this nest. So once the player activates the nest, this guardian appears, this nest guardian, and you have to kill him. That we've adjusted it so this portal will remain closed to begin with. You just kill the guardian first. Once the guardian's killed, this green key card is revealed. So the player can now enter that back section of the ship after you kill that guardian. So I probably won't be able to do anything else. Moving on, after you come through the green door with the green key, the whole back section of the ship is available. There will be some demons around here for the player to kill and interact with. There's some weapons and stuff. Currently, this is the bridge area, which is the end of the map. This will be locked to the player at this point until they turn on the power. This door won't open until the power is on. So where they can explore now is this other area, which leads to the bottom section of the ship. There's a few hallways, an extra gun laying around, and this is the way the player would have to go. It's the only available pathway. Down here, we've staged another demon fight. They'll fight 2 of these Hellraisers with increased health and with ambush and hunting. And then once they kill those, the gray key card will be revealed right here on this dead technician. There's also a yellow core here, which the player can pick up, which will be required for the end of the map, but they may leave it there. It's not required yet. After they get that gray key card, they would return to the back section of the ship, and now you can unlock that secret section on the wing where the gray door is. After coming in here, there's another oxygen tank. They would get the gray power core. After getting the gray power core, you can turn the power on. Yay! Come back here, place the gray power core, and then use the gravity drive now that the nest is cleared. This would turn on the lights, restore power to the ship, and this would also unleash the portal. Portal to hell opens, demons start pouring everywhere. Those demons haven't been placed yet, but so far everything else is functioning. At that point, the player would return to the front of the ship. Assuming they hadn't placed all the oxygen tanks yet, what would happen is this door would open over here where the bridge is, now that you have power on, and they would enter this trigger box. This panel would end the level, sending the ship off to safety. You need to restore the navigation core, which is that yellow core that we saw earlier. So if the player had picked it up and placed it, they would not be able to access this yet until the oxygen has been turned on. So what would happen is the player enters here and they would get a new objective. Get enough oxygen to leave. You need to restore 5 oxygen canisters. So if the player had already done that, then you're good. You can move on, restore the nav core, and be done. But if you hadn't, now this becomes your new objective. We reveal this as your point of interest. And it's showing, hey, you need to restore these oxygen tanks. The player finds the 5 oxygen tanks that are hidden throughout the map. That includes one that's back in this airlock room. Once they have all 5 oxygen tanks filled and the power has been restored, that initiates this ending sequence. Once they run through this trigger box, an explosive sequence will start, showing the player using some camera placements that these barrels are exploding. This is a self-destruct sequence. We're blowing the bridge so that the front of the ship can escape as a lifeboat. So I spent a lot of time this week working on that sequence, making sure it worked properly, timing out all the explosions, building these boxes out, and using these delay triggers to time everything right. I'll showcase that once I do the level playthrough. I'll show you in a moment. Once the player escapes, once that sequence has begun, if they make it past this door, they have made it to safety. This door will close permanently in a lockdown sequence, and then there will be a new trigger box showing that the rest of the ship has been exploded and has disappeared. Control Y, undo. Yeah, that's how it's normally set up. So the player will be standing here. They won't be able to return to the back section of the ship anymore, and they'll see the exploded walkway. After they have all 5 oxygen tanks and have restored power, then they can restore this navigation core. If they haven't collected it, it will show that as an objective on their map where it is, and then they'll be able to restore power. That's the whole level, and spend a lot of time this week just making sure everything's functional. The doors block the player. The player can't lock themselves in a position with a respawn. A lot of time and care was taken in play testing the different states. You know, if they've collected the oxygen canisters but they haven't turned on the power, we want to make sure this sequence doesn't start yet and they get a trigger showing them what to do next. So yeah, you'll see that showcased in the playthrough, which will begin now, but that's the rest of it. Thank you. Let's do a full walkthrough.